Hey yo, how's it going? SixftHax here. Have for y'all today the team builder for week number 5 of the GBA Season 9. We're taking on Mewtwo Fennec, coach of the New York Noibats, one of my very good friends here on the PokeTubers YouTube portion of this area where we upload videos. So go check them out. Channel link and stuff will be down below. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you do enjoy this video. So let's take a look at our team. We're facing a team that has some pretty scary threats here. The main threats are going to be Naganadel, Terrakion, and Mewtwo. Naganadel is the most easy to handle of those three. Honestly, Swords Dance, Z-move, Terrakion absolutely destroys me. Because with Swords Dance, Dual Stab, and potentially something like Zen Headbutt or Earthquake, he's able to beat the two best answers that I have for it in the form of Marshadow and Nidoking. So Zen Headbutt makes a lot of sense there out of the two moves. Even though like Earthquake can still be more of a reliable answer to Nidoking. Regardless though, SDZ Terrakion is easily the scariest mon that I have to watch out for here in this matchup, alongside offensive Mewtwo or potentially a very fat Mewtwo, because we have a decent measurement to Mewtwo, but it could be a little bit reliable on how the battle goes. But those three mons offensively are what I'm really scared of. Skarmory plus Sylveon are a very annoying defensive core. Skarmory, if it doesn't lose to my physically offensive mons, loses to my specially defensive mons, so we have a decent answer to that. But Sylveon is so ridiculously bulky, it can always live just about one hit guaranteed, so it could knock out one of my offensive threats alongside with it, so I do have to be careful with how I deal with the Sylveon. I don't think he's gonna bring double water. Either Mega Gyarados or Seismitoad is coming to this match. I don't think both are coming. Regardless though, we should have measurements for both of those. Arcanine and Decidueye I think have kind of the same level of matchup in this game. Like, they have some nice niches, but they're not necessarily the best things to come to this game. Then Tornadus and Galvantula I think also have decent matchups, but they are more reliable on how exactly Nate might want to build his team. Like, Sticky Webs are very scary. I do have to watch out for that, and I'm gonna prep for them regardless. Then Tornadus could have something like Tailwind, which Nate has beat me before in singles OU battle with Tailwind, so a part of me feels like he's gonna want to bring the Tailwind Tornadus, and then even then Sticky Webs Galvantula could still be a decent bring. Although I do always like to try and fit hazard removal on my squad, so I don't know if he would want to bring webs, but we'll have to see how things go. So that was my initial thought process going into this battle. Shouts out to the front office homies, Shuckle King 87, Harris is awesome, Crossface, and I believe DJ Grafey also kind of gave a little bit of input here. So let's take a look at our first team member here, which of course is going to be Marshadow. Now, instead of running a purely just destructive set of Marshadow, because if you look at Nate's team, I could have very well brought Life Orb or Choice Banded and pretty much decided to wreck his entire squad. Now, the only issue with that is that Mewtwo absolutely terrifies me in this game, and I'm like 99.9999% sure he is not going to bring a choice Mewtwo whatsoever, so I don't think he's going to be expecting a choice scarf from Marshadow, which is also really nice to check the Naganadel if it gets a speed boost, or if he does bring something else that could be potentially scarfed, or maybe something that is more reliant on sticky webs, because if he gets webs up, then our speed is brought back down to just about normal speed, so we can then outspeed things still, so we can also kind of deal with webs with this set, which is really amazing. But the main idea behind this set is to hopefully just come in, surprise something, or just get a revenge kill on what it can, and then be able to clean up late game potentially. Again, Spectral Thief is so free in this battle. Even if he does have Mega Gyarados, it's still going to be taking a deep decent bit of damage from Spectral Thief, and then whatever we don't hit with Spectral Thief, we hit with close combat. Something I am a little bit concerned about is a very physically defensive Skarmory, because it can tank 2 hits from this set and will be able to roost up and potentially wear me down if it has the Rocky Helmet or Hazard stack me. So I do need to be careful with Skarmory in this game. But if this Marshadow can just deal with his offense, it doesn't need to sweep. I just need to ensure that Mewtwo, Naganadel, Terrakion, Tornadus, Galvantula, Mega Gyarados, even Arcanine, I just need to make sure that that offense does not prove to be overwhelming for me in this matchup. Toxic is honestly only there in case he comes down to like last month's Sylveon, and I have a bit of a hard issue trying to break through it, so I can just Toxic it and then maybe stall it out or something, or just wear it down to the point where I can kill it with something else on my squad. Otherwise, pretty much anything could have fit over on the slot of Toxic, and the Poison Jab is just there in case I do need to hit the Sylveon for some type of super effective damage. So moving on to our next team member here, we have the Rock, aka Thunderous, rocking a nice supportive 3 offensive moves Z move set. I said moves a bit too much there, but yeah, we have Electrium Z, 3 attacks, Tornadus here. The last move, I was honestly just flip-flopping so much. I was originally going to have Thunder Wave, but then I realized, well, Sticky Webs could be really annoying, so I think in the end I would rather be more prepared for Sticky Webs rather than be set up against me and lose because of them, because I've been in that scenario before where I thought Sticky Webs weren't going to come and they were brought and I got destroyed. So I don't want that to happen again, which is why I'm going to have Defog this time around as opposed to Thunder Wave. Although Thunder Wave did have its merits, I don't think ultimately in the long run it would be as beneficial here as Defog. So with our 3 offensive moves, we hit absolutely everything on Nate's team for neutral and or super effective damage. Electrum Z basically mollywops everything that is not the Decidueye, the Galvantula, or the Seismitoad, which I don't know if all 3 come. Maybe one of the 3, possibly 2 of the 3, but I think definitely one of those 3 comes. So once those are gone, I click Electrium Z and hopefully just collect my KO. So that's the idea behind the set. And then if I have to, I can defog away rocks and potentially Sticky Webs. Most importantly, Sticky Webs, because that's really the main reason why I have defog. Rocks honestly aren't as big of an issue as Sticky Webs could be in this battle. So moving on to our next team member, we have a very interesting Darkrai set here. So in a different version of this team, I had Life Orb Marshadow and Choice Scarf Darkrai. I knew that I wanted one of those 2 to be Scarfed to be able to deal with the Naganadel and to deal with any one of his other offensive mons, and ultimately I figured that Marshadow was better because again I can spam my stab move. So it came down to what exactly do I want to run on my Necrozma. Now I could run something like Choppleberry, but I figured that Assault Vest kind of does the same thing that Choppleberry does, but it does it way better, because if I'm not going to be relying on my Choppleberry for more than one move, if I do want to take special hits in general from things like Sylveon, special Decidueye, Tornadus, Galvantula, Naganadel, or most importantly the Mewtwo, then it's better for me to have Assault Vest here, because even then I can still live I can live 1 super effective Life Orb hit from Mewtwo, hopefully allowing me to lure it in and then in return knock it out with the Dark Pulse. So that's really the main thing that I want Darkrai to do in this battle, is lure in Mewtwo, because that thing is absolutely terrifying, man. The fact that it just outspeeds my best offensive mons and that I can easily prep for something like Shadow Sneak Marshadow makes it that much more terrifying. So I'm hoping that this set could potentially catch Nate off guard and that I'll be able to get a surprise KO on the Mewtwo if it really comes down to it. But all 4 of these moves hit everything for neutral or super effective damage. Darkrai does a really good amount of damage regardless of what move I am hitting a Mon with, if it's neutral or super effective. So that's another really, really big benefit here. So moving on to the next team member, we have Chomp, aka Nidoking. Now, initially I had a max defense, max HP, adamant natured recover Medicham, because back in GBA D-League Season 3, I used a physically defensive Medicham to deal with an opposing Z move Terrakion, and that's what I was going to do. But the issue with that is that with how the rest of the team was looking, I realized that Skarmory plus Sylveon is actually really hard for me to break, and that's where Nidoking kind of helps that. Plus, I don't necessarily think I need like a dedicated defensive answer to Terrakion, because so much of my offense can outspeed it and hit it for a pretty good amount of damage. And again, I don't expect Choice Terrakion whatsoever, because I have so many good answers to its dual stab. And that's where, again, like SDZ move, even though I do have answer for it, if it's Z moves a +2, it's murdering something regardless. So I don't expect a Choice Terrakion, which means my offense can deal with it so much easier, and that way I can have a bit of a less defensive answer for Terrakion. And even if I bring in an offensive threat against Terrakion, if I force it out, I'm weakening whatever comes in, and that's still beneficial to me. So I figured that a tank Nidoking helps me not only still soft check Terrakion, but it helps me deal with his super fat defensive mons, mainly Skarmory and Sylveon. I do a lot to Seismitoad, Arcanine, and Decidueye as well, which is amazing. The speed is enough to outspeed, I believe, Jolly max speed Decidueye. I want to say I could have gone up to outspeed Timid max speed Seismitoad, but I really don't expect an offensive Toad in this game. Something like Rindelberry makes a lot of sense to me, I think. So I'm not worried about trying to outspeed max speed Timid Seismitoad. If anything, I can still outspeed Decidueye, and that's more than good enough for me. And then I also don't expect them to want to bring a very speedy Arcanine. So yeah, hoping that this Nidoking can function as a decent pivot to Terrakion while still being able to pressure his very defensive mons. So our next team member here is going to be our first actual wall, and that is going to be Bam Bam, aka Snorlax. Snorlax is able to check so much offense that Nate has, everything pretty much except for the Terrakion, and what I'm really hoping and praying is not going to be Unaware Mewtwo. I hope Nate just completely overlooks Unnerve. Sorry, I said Unaware, I think, but I meant Unnerve. I hope that Nate just completely overlooks Unnerve Mewtwo and doesn't bring it, because obviously that means my Iapapa berry won't be popping. But the thing about that is that he's only going to have Aura Sphere to hit me, so if he doesn't get chip damage on me, or if he doesn't get up rocks, I should be able to live 2 Aura Spheres if he's not Choice Specs, I want to say, or if he's not Life Orb. I think even if he's Life Orb, I can live 2 hits, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Regardless, though, we should live 1 hit from Mewtwo, and just getting off damage on that is going to be amazing. But I don't know if this EV spread, I don't know if this EV spread is the most optimized, but it's going to get the job done. I ran a couple calcs, I did some double checks on everything, and this Snorlax eats hits from both spectrums, obviously except from Terrakion, unless we get up 2 curses, which, speaking of curse, along with our dual stab, we hit everything for neutral or super effective damage. So if he doesn't have something with toxic or some form of phasing, then Snorlax can come in here, potentially set up and just win by itself, which is pretty amazing. So yeah, hoping that Snorlax puts in a lot of work here, and this honestly could very well be our win condition late in the game if Terrakion is gone, because if we just start cursing up, then we will eventually beat the Skarmory as well if he's not able to phase us out or toxic us. And if he doesn't have Skarmory or Terrakion, I think it might be a good game at that point if Snorlax starts setting up. So the final team member is going to be a Thornswoggle, rocking a nice super fat mixed defensive set with the Akka Berry. I need Ferrothorn to do quite a few things in this battle. I need it to help me against the Naganadel, the Sylveon, the Gyarados, potentially the... No, not Terrakion, sorry, but the Decidueye, even Galvantula and a Tornadus, and I figured that Aqua Berry was the best item for Ferrothorn in this battle, because I don't plan to leave this in on Terrakion if it really comes down to it, and if I have to, I can leave this in on something like Tornadus, take a Heat Wave, and absolutely demolish it with a Gyro Ball. But most importantly, the main things that I want Ferrothorn to do in this game are to get up rocks and hopefully spread thunder waves, and that way it's able to help my offense deal with Nate's offense and put us in a bit of a better scenario. So yeah, not too much to say about Ferrothorn, but that is going to be our squad for this week, guys. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. I will see you all tomorrow on Sunday with the actual battle itself, and with all that being said, I will see you later. So thank you all for watching. Later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion, but when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.